The acceptance letter trembled in my hands as tears blurred the university letterhead. After 3 years of advanced placement classes, robotics competitions, and endless studying, I'd done it. Massachusetts Institute of Technology wanted me. "We did it!" I squealed, throwing my arms around Naomi, who'd been pacing my bedroom floor waiting for me to open the email. "MIT, full engineering program. My name is Josephine, and that moment was supposed to be the beginning of my dreams coming true. Instead, it became the catalyst for destroying my family. "Your grandparents would be so proud," Naomi said, squeezing me tight. "Their college fund is finally going to good use." I nodded, thinking of Gran and Pop's faces when they'd told me about the education trust they'd set up. "A smart girl needs a proper education," Gran had said, squeezing my hand. "Not just a husband to take care of her. That memory should have been my first warning." "Mom!" I called downstairs. "The letter came. I got in." Silence. Then footsteps on the stairs, slow and measured. My mother appeared in the doorway, perfect makeup and pressed clothes as always. "That's wonderful, dear." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "We should celebrate," Naomi suggested. "Maybe dinner with the whole family?" Mom's smile tightened. "Let's wait until your father gets home to discuss it." That evening, Dad's reaction matched Mom's. Congratulations that felt hollow, smiles that seemed strained. When I mentioned calling the bank about accessing the college fund for the deposit, they exchanged a look that made my stomach drop. "We'll handle the financial arrangements," Mom said quickly. "You focus on finishing senior year." I trusted them. God, I was so stupid. 2 weeks later, I sat in the local bank branch, staring at account numbers that didn't make sense. "This can't be right," I told the teller. "There should be over $60,000 here." The teller clicked through several screens. "The majority of funds were withdrawn last month through multiple transactions. The current balance is $812. The room spun. "That's impossible. I never authorized any withdrawals. The withdrawals were approved by the account trustees, your parents." I drove home in a daze, hands shaking on the steering wheel. They were waiting for me in the living room, faces carefully blank. "What did you do?" My voice cracked. "Sit down, Josephine," Dad said quietly. "Where's my college fund?" Mom smoothed her skirt. "Your brother needed help. He got in over his head with some people who wouldn't take no for an answer." "Wyatt? You gave my college fund to Wyatt? Family helps family," Dad muttered, not meeting my eyes. "I'm family too." The words ripped from my throat. "That money was for my education." "Don't be dramatic," Mom said. "You're a pretty girl. You'll find a nice man who can take care of you. Wyatt needed that money more. He could have been seriously hurt." I stared at them, these strangers wearing my parents' faces. "You stole my future to bail him out of gambling debts?" "We didn't steal anything," Mom snapped. "We're the trustees. It was a family decision." "A family decision you made without the family member whose future you just destroyed." Dad shifted uncomfortably. "You can take classes at community college, maybe transfer later." "I got into MIT!" I was screaming now, past caring. "Do you even understand what that means? What you've thrown away?" "What's done is done," Mom said firmly. "You need to accept it and move forward." I stormed up to my room, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. Naomi answered on the first ring. "They gave it all to Wyatt," I choked out. "Every penny." "Those absolute bastards," she breathed. "What are you going to do?" I wiped my eyes, remembering the documentation I'd already submitted to MIT's bursar office weeks ago. Copies of the trust agreement, signature specimens, formal request for deposit procedures, standard paperwork they required from trust fund students, paperwork that proved exactly who was supposed to control that money. "They think I'll just accept this," I said quietly, "that I'll give up on college and find some man to marry like Mom wants." "But you won't." "No." I opened my laptop, fingers hovering over the keyboard. "I won't." I clicked compose and addressed an email to MIT's Financial Fraud Division. My hands had stopped shaking. They had no idea who they were dealing with, I told Naomi, and by the time they figure it out, it'll be too late. I hit send and watched the email disappear into cyberspace, carrying with it the first spark of what would become an inferno. They thought they could steal my future. I was about to teach them exactly how wrong they were. "Miss Mason?" The voice on the phone was crisp, professional. "This is Lionel Cunningham from MIT's Financial Services Office. We received your email regarding potential unauthorized withdrawals from your educational trust." I closed my bedroom door softly, heart pounding. "Yes, thank you for calling back so quickly." "The documentation you provided shows clear discrepancies. These signatures authorizing the withdrawals, they don't match your specimens." "No," I said quietly, "because I didn't sign them." Naomi sat cross-legged on my bed, laptop open. She gave me a thumbs up as she accessed my phone records. Her dad worked for the carrier, and she'd borrowed his login credentials. "We're freezing all related accounts pending investigation," Lionel continued. "Do you have any additional documentation?" "I'm gathering it now." I glanced at Naomi's screen. "You'll have it within 24 hours. After hanging up, Naomi spun her laptop toward me. "Look at this. Your mom called the bank 8 times in the week before the withdrawals started." "Can you get the actual recordings?" "Better." She grinned. "I got your brother's girlfriend Summer to record him bragging about getting saved by your parents. Check your email." The audio file played clearly. "Yeah, they cleaned out Joe's college fund to cover it. Mom forged the paperwork herself. Pretty sweet deal." My stomach churned at Wyatt's lazy drawl. "How'd you get Summer to help?" "Told her there might be legal trouble coming. She's not going down with that ship." Downstairs, the doorbell rang. Mom's voice floated up. "Everyone, brunch is ready. Come celebrate Josephine's acceptance." I met Naomi's eyes. She raised an eyebrow. "You're really going down there?" "Have to keep up appearances." I stood, smoothing my shirt. "Besides, I want to watch their faces." The dining room was full of extended family, all smiles and congratulations. Aunt Marie hugged me tight. "MIT, we're so proud of you, honey." "Thanks." I smiled, watching Mom's fingers tighten on her wine glass. "I'm just grateful for Gran and Pop's college fund. Makes it all possible." Mom's glass froze halfway to her lips. "About that," Dad cleared his throat, "we should discuss—" The doorbell rang again. Mom practically ran to answer it. "Mrs. Mason?" A man's voice carried clearly. "I'm Glenn Holland, executor of your parents' educational trust. May I come in?" Mom's voice turned sharp. "This isn't a good time." "I'm afraid this can't wait. The university's financial office contacted me about irregular withdrawals." Silence fell over the dining room. Aunt Marie looked confused. "Sylvia, what's he talking about?" "Nothing," Mom said quickly. "Just a misunderstanding. Mrs. Mason." Glenn's voice hardened. "The university is preparing fraud charges. All related accounts have been frozen pending investigation. Wyatt stood so fast, his chair crashed backward. You said you handled it, he hissed at Mom. You said no one would know. Sit down, Dad snapped, but the damage was done. Aunt Marie turned to me, horror dawning. Josephine, what's going on? Yes, Mom, I said quietly. Why don't you explain what's going on? Mom's makeup couldn't hide her pallor. This is a private family matter. The trust fund was private too, I cut in, until you stole it. Gasps around the table. Glenn stepped into the dining room, documents in hand. Perhaps everyone should leave, Dad suggested weakly. Why? My voice carried clearly. Isn't family supposed to help family? Isn't that what you said when you forged my signature to bail out Wyatt's gambling debts? You ungrateful little... Wyatt started forward, but Aunt Marie grabbed his arm. You did what? She demanded. We had no choice, Mom's voice cracked. He was in danger. So you sacrificed my future instead. I stood slowly. But you forgot something, Mom. I'm not as helpless as you think. Glenn cleared his throat. Mrs. Mason, the university requires full repayment within 30 days, or they'll proceed with criminal charges. Criminal? Dad whispered. Fraud, forgery, theft. Glenn listed off. The evidence is quite clear. Mom turned to me, tears welling. Josephine, please, we're your parents. And I'm your daughter, the one whose future you stole. I walked to the door, Naomi right behind me. Maybe you should have remembered that before you decided I was worth sacrificing. As we left, I heard Aunt Marie's disgusted voice. Sylvia, how could you? In my car, Naomi squeezed my hand. You okay? I started the engine, watching my family's world begin to crumble through the dining room windows. I'm just getting started. The university's notification of frozen assets would hit their accounts any minute. Phase 1 was complete. Now, for Phase 2. The banging on my bedroom door started at 6 a.m. Open up, Joe. We need to talk. I ignored Wyatt's demands, continuing to pack my overnight bag. After yesterday's brunch disaster, I wasn't taking chances. Come on! His fist rattled the door. You're destroying this family! That's rich, coming from you, I called back. Look, I'm sorry about the money, okay? But this legal stuff has to stop. Mom's a wreck. I yanked the door open, making him stumble. A wreck? Because her theft got exposed? Wyatt's eyes were bloodshot, his designer clothes rumpled. They were trying to help me. With my future, my money. I'm your brother. Family's supposed to... Don't. I held up my hand. Don't you dare say family helps family right now. My phone buzzed. Naomi. Found something big. Come over ASAP. Where are you going? Wyatt demanded as I shouldered past him. Away from you. Mom intercepted me at the bottom of the stairs, still in her silk robe. Josephine, please. We can fix this. Fix what? The fraud? The forgery? Or just your reputation? We'll find another way to pay for college. You mean I should find a rich husband? I mimicked her tone. Focus on being pretty instead of smart? Her face hardened. You're being cruel. No, Mom. I'm being honest. There's a difference. Dad appeared from his study, waving papers. The bank's frozen everything, even accounts not connected to the trust. We can't pay our bills. Should have thought of that before committing fraud. 20 minutes later, I burst into Naomi's room. What did you find? She spun her monitor toward me. Remember how Summer mentioned a bookie named Glenn? Different Glenn than the trust executor? Yeah. Look who else paid him recently. She pointed to a Venmo transaction list. My mouth went dry. That's Mom's private account. She's been paying him for months, way before they drained your fund. Naomi pulled up more screenshots. And look at these text messages Summer forwarded. The texts showed Wyatt bragging about Mom handling his debts, dating back almost a year. They'd been planning this. They knew, I whispered. They always knew they'd take my money. There's more. Naomi hesitated. Your mom. She didn't just forge your signature once. She's been practicing. Summer found these in Wyatt's desk. The photos showed dozens of attempts at copying my signature. Mom had been preparing for months. My phone rang. Glenn Holland, the executor. Josephine, we've uncovered something disturbing. Your mother attempted to access the trust's remaining balance this morning using another forged document. My laugh was hollow. Of course she did. The university's legal team is escalating. They're filing official charges tomorrow. After hanging up, I sank onto Naomi's bed. What kind of mother does this? The kind who's about to face consequences. Naomi's fingers flew over her keyboard. Summer just sent more screenshots. Want to see? I nodded. The messages showed Wyatt panicking to Summer. Mom's losing it. Dad's talking about mortgaging the house. This wasn't supposed to blow up like this. Another buzz. A text from Mom. Please come home. We need to talk as a family. Don't go, Naomi warned. I won't. I started forwarding everything to my secure email. But I need one more thing from Summer. What? Evidence of exactly where my money went. Every transaction. Naomi grinned. Already on it. Summer's sending bank statements now. Your brother's girlfriend is surprisingly helpful when she's scared. Fear's a powerful motivator. I watched the documents pour in. Just ask my parents. My phone buzzed again. Aunt Marie, this time. Just heard from your mother. She's claiming this is all a misunderstanding. Is that true? I sent back the forged signature practice sheets. Her response came quickly. Oh my God! I'll call Glenn Holland myself. This ends now. Your aunt's pretty fierce, Naomi observed. Mom forgot something important, I said, watching more family members text their shock and support. She's not the only one with connections. Another text from Wyatt. You're really going to let them press charges? Against our own parents? I typed back 4 words. You made your choice. Then I blocked his number and turned to Naomi's computer. Show me everything else Summer sent. Every transaction, every message, every lie. It's pretty brutal, she warned. Good. I pulled up a chair. Because so am I. The documents painted a clear picture. Months of planning, deliberate deception, and a mother who chose one child's gambling debts over another child's future. They thought family meant protecting Wyatt at all costs. I was about to show them just how wrong they were. The subpoena arrived during Mom's weekly book club meeting. I watched from the kitchen as she signed for it, her perfect hostess smile cracking when she saw the contents. Ladies, I'm so sorry, she announced, voice trembling. I'm feeling a bit under the weather. After her friends left, she cornered me. Are you happy now? They're demanding all our financial records. Karma's funny that way. This isn't a game, Josephine. No, I agreed. Games are fun. This is justice. Dad sat slumped in his recliner, tie loose, looking decades older. The board at work. They're discussing suspension. Something about Reputational risk. Should have thought about risks before committing fraud. The front door slammed, Wyatt storming in, wild-eyed. Summer's talking to everyone. She's showing people screenshots. What screenshots? Mom's voice sharpened. Everything. The payments, the texts about Joe's fund, He spotted me. This is your fault. My fault? I laughed. That's rich! He lunged forward, but Dad caught his arm. Son, don't! She's destroying us! Wyatt broke free, grabbing my phone from the counter. Always documenting everything, gathering evidence. The phone shattered against the wall. Feel better? I asked calmly, because that was just my old backup phone. Everything's already saved elsewhere. Mom sank into a chair. Why are you doing this to us? Why did you do it to me? I shot back. Was Wyatt's gambling more important than my education? You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You chose him. Every time you chose him. My actual phone buzzed in my pocket, a message from Summer. Can we talk? I have more proof. Don't you dare meet with her, Wyatt snarled, reading over my shoulder. Or what? You'll destroy another phone? He grabbed my arm. I'm serious, Joe. Let go. Each word was ice. Wyatt, Dad warned. No, she needs to stop this. His grip tightened. You're going to drop the charges and... I twisted free, backing away. The university is pressing charges, not me, and they have everything they need. Because you gave it to them. Because you stole from me. The words exploded out. Because Mom forged my signature, and Dad helped hide it, and you just took and took and took. We're your family. Family doesn't steal futures. Mom started crying, perfectly timed tears. Please, Josephine, we can work this out privately. My phone buzzed again. Glenn Holland. Police involvement imminent. University pressing full charges. It's too late for private, I told them, heading for the stairs. Don't you walk away. Wyatt followed. You think you're so smart, but you're just a spoiled brat who... I spun around. Who what? Who wanted an education? Who trusted her parents? Who didn't gamble away everything she touched? I'm warning you. Warn away. But remember, I'm not the one facing fraud charges. Later that night, my grandmother's voice echoed in my head as I scrolled through old photos. Education is the one thing they can never take from you, sweetheart. Oh, Gran. They tried. My phone lit up, Summer requesting a video call. Before you hang up, she said quickly, I have proof your mom knew about Wyatt's gambling for years. She's been covering his debt since he was 17. Why are you helping me? Because he's dragging me down with him. She looked away. And because what they did to you was wrong. A bit late for conscience. Better late than never. She held up a notebook. Want to see your mom's signature practice sheets? She kept them all. I did. Every damning page. Another call beeped through. Glenn Holland again. Josephine, it's official. The university's filing charges tomorrow morning. Your parents will be served at home. Any chance they'll settle? They can't. Your mother's second forgery attempt triggered mandatory reporting laws. This is now a criminal matter. After hanging up, I stared at my reflection in the dark window. Mom's features, Dad's eyes, Wyatt's stubborn chin. Family, written in flesh and bone. But family wasn't supposed to feel like this. My phone buzzed one last time. Wyatt. I'm done. If they go to jail because of you, I'm just done. The threat was clear. Classic Wyatt, making his problems everyone else's responsibility. Not this time. I dialed 911. I need to report a suicide threat. Because family might not steal futures, but they don't let each other die either, even when they deserve every consequence coming their way. I listened to the dispatcher assure me help was coming, and wondered if this was what growing up felt like, protecting people who hurt you, just because blood said you should, but blood didn't make them steal my future, and it wouldn't stop me from taking it back. After Wyatt's overnight psych hold, Mom cornered me in the kitchen. Her eyes were red-rimmed, makeup perfect despite everything, always keeping up appearances. "Can we talk?" She pulled out a chair. "Please." I kept my phone recording in my pocket as I sat. "About what?" "I know we hurt you." Her voice cracked perfectly. "We made a terrible mistake. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. You committed fraud." "We were desperate. Wyatt was in trouble." "Wyatt's always in trouble." I met her eyes. "But I wasn't. I did everything right. Perfect grades, scholarships, MIT acceptance. And you still chose him." "He's your brother." "And I'm your daughter." The words echoed off the walls. "Or did you forget that while practicing my signature?" She flinched. "How did you—" "Summer found your practice sheets. Real motherly dedication there, learning to forge your daughter's signature." "You don't understand what it's like, watching your child self-destruct." "No, I understand watching two parents self-destruct instead." I stood up. "The university called. They're not accepting partial payments." Her face crumpled. "We can't pay it all back. We mortgaged the house for Wyatt's other debts." "Other debts?" My stomach dropped. "How much did you give him? It doesn't matter." "How much?" She looked away. "Almost 200,000 over the years." The kitchen spun. That was more than triple my college fund. "Where did you get that money?" "We borrowed, refinanced, your father's retirement." She wiped her eyes carefully, not smudging her mascara. "The country club committee is voting today on my membership. They're saying I'm an embarrassment." Of course. She was more worried about social standing than jail time. My phone buzzed. "Naomi." "You need to see this. Your Aunt Marie found something big." "I have to go," I told Mom. "Please." She grabbed my arm. "We're still family." I shook her off. "Family doesn't steal futures." Naomi was waiting in her car outside. "Your Aunt Marie called. Apparently your parents didn't just take your college fund." "What?" She handed me her tablet. "They took your inheritance from your grandparents too. The college fund was just part of it. There was supposed to be more when you turned 25. The documents blurred as tears filled my eyes. "How much?" "Another 100,000. She squeezed my hand. "Your aunt found the paperwork in your grand's old files. She's furious." My phone rang. Dr. Clayton from the university's engineering department. "Josephine? I heard about your situation. We have a paid internship opening in our robotics lab. It won't replace your college fund, but it might help while this legal situation resolves." I accepted immediately. "One more thing," Naomi said after I hung up. "Your extended family's been talking. Turns out everyone knew about the withdrawals. Your Uncle Tim even helped set up the transfers." The betrayal burned fresh. "Everyone knew, and no one stopped it." She pulled up more messages. "But now they're all running scared. Your Aunt Marie's threatening to expose everyone who helped hide it." My phone buzzed again. Summer sending new screenshots. "Wyatt's threatening to expose your mom's other financial secrets. Thought you should know." I forwarded everything to Glenn Holland. Then I texted Naomi's address to Dad. I'm staying here until the legal issues resolve. Don't try to contact me. His response came quickly. Please don't do this to your mother. She's being ostracized by everyone. Actions have consequences, I wrote back. Maybe she should have thought about that before stealing from her daughter. I blocked his number and turned to Naomi. I need your help with something else. What? I'm writing a Reddit post about everything. I opened my laptop. People should know what family can really do to you. Go viral on them. She grinned. I like it. They wanted to silence me, make me accept their theft quietly. My fingers flew over the keyboard. Let's see how they handle their perfect family image being shattered online instead. The post began. My parents drained my college fund to enable my gambling addict brother. Now they're facing fraud charges, and I'm done staying quiet. That'll get attention, Naomi noted. Good. I hit post. They thought I'd be too ashamed to expose this publicly. They thought wrong. Within minutes, the upvotes started rolling in. Within hours, it would explode across the internet. And my mother, so concerned with appearances, would learn exactly what public shame really felt like. Sometimes karma needs a little help going viral. 2 million views, Naomi announced, refreshing the Reddit post. And that's not counting the TikTok reposts. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing for 3 days. Journalists, podcast hosts, even a documentary producer. Everyone wanted the story of the college student whose parents betrayed her. Your mom's trending. Naomi turned her phone toward me. Someone filmed her meltdown at the country club. The video showed Mom screaming at the membership board. You don't understand. We had no choice. The comments are brutal, Naomi scrolled. Everyone's Team Josephine. A new email notification popped up from MIT's financial office. Dear Josephine, following your viral post, an anonymous donor has offered to fund your full tuition. The donor specifically cited your resilience in the face of familial betrayal. Holy shit, Naomi breathed, reading over my shoulder. My hands shook. I can go to MIT. After everything they did to stop you. She hugged me tight. This is karma. Summer's call interrupted our celebration. Wyatt's losing it, she said without preamble. He's drinking, talking crazy. Your mom's not answering his calls. Not my problem. He's talking about your grandmother's journals. Says there's stuff in there that could hurt everyone. I sat up straight. What journals? In your old house, some box in the attic. He's heading there now. I was already grabbing my keys. Those journals were the last thing I had from Gran. Call Mom, I told Summer. Tell her to stop him. The drive home took forever. When I pulled up, Wyatt's car was already there. Inside, I heard crashing from upstairs. Where are they? Wyatt's voice echoed down the stairs. Please, Mom begged. Just calm down. I took the stairs 2 at a time. The attic door was open, boxes scattered everywhere. Wyatt stood by the window, Gran's journals in his hands. Look who showed up! Put those down. Or what? You'll expose me? He laughed bitterly. Too late, sis. You already destroyed everything. You did that yourself. Really? He flipped open a journal. Let's see what Gran really thought about this family. Bet that would make great Reddit content. Those aren't yours. Nothing's just mine anymore, right? His hands tightened on the journal. You made sure of that. My girlfriend, my reputation, my future, all gone because you couldn't keep quiet. Your future? I stepped closer. What about mine? You could have found another way to college. I needed that money. For gambling debts, which you're still racking up, aren't you? His face twisted. You don't know anything. I know everything. I pulled out my phone. Summer's been sending screenshots for weeks. Every bet, every loss, every lie. She wouldn't. She did. Just like Mom's country club friends filmed her meltdown. Just like Dad's colleagues leaked his suspension details. I met his eyes. Your actions have consequences. Welcome to mine. He hurled the journal. I ducked, but it caught my shoulder. Wyatt! Mom screamed from the doorway. Stay out of this! We both yelled. I snatched up Gran's journal, clutching it close. You don't get to destroy this, too. Already destroyed everything else, didn't you? He advanced. Little Miss Perfect, with her viral Reddit post and her MIT dreams. You think you're better than me? I think I didn't steal from family. No, you just exposed them. Got Mom kicked out of her clubs, Dad suspended me. You did that, all of it. I backed toward the stairs. I just told the truth. The truth? He laughed darkly. You want truth? How about I tell everyone what's in those journals? About Mom's affairs, Dad's creative accounting, Gran's secret... Enough. Mom's voice cracked like a whip. Wyatt, stop. Why? She didn't stop. Because she was right. Mom's words froze us both. What we did was wrong. And this... She gestured at the chaos. This is wrong, too. Wyatt stared at her. Mom, it's over. She slumped against the doorframe. The university called. They're proceeding with charges. But no more buts. She looked at me. Take the journals. They're yours anyway. I clutched them tighter, backing down the stairs. Joe! Wyatt called. If you walk out that door... You'll what? I turned back. Destroy something else? Blame someone else? Steal something else? His silence was answer enough. Outside, Naomi waited in her car. You okay? I looked down at Gran's journals, then at the house where my brother's shouts still echoed. I will be. I opened the first journal. Let's see what other truths need exposing. Because sometimes the only way to rebuild is to tear everything down first. The courthouse steps were cold under my feet as I waited for my parents to arrive. Their final hearing, the one where they'd formally confess to avoid jail time. You don't have to be here, Naomi reminded me. Yes, I do. Their car pulled up. Mom emerged first, designer suit replaced by something modest from a department store. Dad followed, shoulders slumped. No sign of Wyatt. He's still in rehab, Mom said, catching my look. 30-day program. Voluntary? Court-ordered. She tried to smile. The therapist says he's making progress. Good for him. Inside, their lawyer waited with Glenn Holland and the university's legal team. The confession was already prepared. Mrs. Mason, the judge began, you understand that by signing this, you're admitting to multiple counts of fraud and forgery? Mom's hand shook as she reached for the pen. Yes, Your Honor. And you, Mr. Mason, you're acknowledging your role as an accessory? Dad nodded mutely. The university has agreed to drop criminal charges in exchange for full restitution, the judge continued. That amount being $67,412. Mom started crying. Real tears this time, not the calculated ones I'd grown up watching. We've sold everything, Dad said quietly. The house, the cars, my retirement account, it's all there. The judge turned to me. Miss Mason, as the victim, Would you like to make a statement? I stood, unfolding the paper I'd prepared. Then I saw Mom's face, aged decades and months, stripped of makeup and pretense. I put the paper away. They taught me that actions have consequences, I said instead. I hope they've learned the same lesson. The judge nodded. Very well. Proceed with the signatures. Afterward, in the hallway, Mom caught my arm. Josephine, please, can we talk? About what? I know we can't fix this, but... She swallowed hard. I'm scared of losing both my children. You should have thought about that before, I know, but Wyatt's in rehab, actually trying this time. And you're starting MIT soon. She wiped her eyes. I don't want this to be the end. What did you expect? That I'd forgive and forget? No, but maybe we could try to rebuild. Somehow. Dad stepped forward. We're moving to an apartment near your Aunt Marie, starting over. If you ever wanted to visit... Don't. I held up my hand. Don't push for more than I can give right now. What can you give? Mom asked softly. I thought about Wyatt in rehab, finally facing his demons, about Mom's designer life stripped away, about Dad's quiet acceptance of consequences. Time, I said finally. That's all I can offer. Time and distance. Will you at least read our letters? Dad pulled out 2 envelopes. When you're ready. I took them, not promising anything. Outside, Naomi waited with Glenn Holland. It's done, he confirmed. The university received the full payment this morning. Thank you, I told him. For everything. Your grandparents would be proud. He smiled. They always said you were the smart one. Mom and Dad emerged from the courthouse, heading toward their old sedan, the only car they hadn't sold. Josephine, Mom called. I know it doesn't mean much now, but I'm sorry for everything. I nodded once, not trusting my voice. They drove away, leaving behind the ashes of our former life. You okay? Naomi asked. No. I pulled out Gran's journal, but I will be. The journal entry I'd bookmarked caught my eye. Sometimes the hardest lesson is learning that family isn't just blood, it's choice. Choose wisely, my dear Josephine. My phone buzzed. Summer sending another update. Wyatt's doing better, actually talking about his addiction. Asked if you'd visit someday. Someday. I texted back. Another message popped up from MIT's housing office. Your dorm assignment is confirmed. Welcome to your new home. Home. Such a loaded word now. Ready to go? Naomi asked. I looked at the courthouse one last time. Inside those walls, my parents had finally faced consequences. They'd lost their house, their status, their carefully constructed facade. But maybe they'd gained something too. Truth. Accountability. A chance to rebuild without lies. Yeah, I said. I'm ready. Because sometimes justice isn't about punishment. It's about transformation. And maybe, just maybe, this was the transformation my family needed, even if it took destroying everything to make it happen. I tucked the unopened letters into my bag, next to Gran's journal. I'd read them eventually. But not today. Today was about moving forward, not looking back. And I had a future to reclaim. The MIT campus sprawled before me as I carried the last box to my dorm room. Naomi helped arrange my desk while I unpacked Gran's journals, placing them carefully on the shelf above my new engineering textbooks. My phone buzzed. A text from Summer. Wyatt finished rehab. He's staying with your Aunt Marie, working at her bookstore, still asking about you. Tell him I'm busy, I replied, then hesitated. But tell him good job on finishing the program. Your Reddit post hit 10 million views, Naomi announced, scrolling her phone. The comments are wild. People want you to write a book. Maybe someday. I pulled out the still unopened letters from my parents. Right now, I have other things to focus on. A knock at the door interrupted us. Dr. Clayton stood there, smiling. Getting settled in? Yes, thank you. I gestured at the robotics equipment already dominating half the room. The internship project is basically my second home. About that. She handed me an envelope. The anonymous donor who funded your tuition, they want to meet. My heart skipped. Really? Tomorrow at the engineering building. They're quite impressed with your resilience. After she left, Naomi raised an eyebrow. You going? Of course. I checked my phone again. Another text, this time from Mom. Saw your dorm photos online. Your room looks nice. Hope you're settling in well. It was the kind of normal, motherly text I'd always wanted. Simple, supportive. No manipulation. You could text back, Naomi suggested. Not yet. My laptop pinged, an email from Glenn Holland. Your parents have completed all restitution payments. The case is officially closed. Also, your Aunt Marie asked me to send you this. Attached was a photo of Wyatt shelving books, actually smiling. He looked healthier, clearer. Life's weird, I told Naomi. A few months ago, they were stealing my future. Now you're living it anyway. Yeah. I picked up Gran's journal, opening to my favorite entry. Success isn't about winning, dear heart. It's about rising above what tries to sink you. Another knock, this time a floor mate. Hey, we're having a study group for Engineering 101. Want to join? Go, Naomi urged. Be normal for once. I grabbed my textbook, but paused at the letters on my desk. Mom's neat handwriting, Dad's messy scrawl. Maybe it was time. I opened Mom's first. Dearest Josephine, you were right. About everything. We failed you in every way parents can fail a child. But watching you fight for your future, watching you refuse to be diminished, it made me realize what real strength looks like. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just hoping that someday, when you've achieved all the dreams we tried to steal, you'll let us see the amazing woman you've become, even if only from a distance. Love always. Mom. Dad's was shorter. Joe, you're smarter and stronger than I ever was. Don't let our mistakes hold you back. You're going to change the world, and we'll be proud of you, even if we don't deserve to be. Dad. My phone buzzed one last time. Wyatt. Hey, sis. I know I don't deserve a response. Just wanted to say I'm sorry, and I'm proud of you. That's all. I looked around my dorm room. Engineering books, robotics projects, Gran's journals, the future I'd fought to reclaim. You okay? Naomi asked softly. I picked up my phone and typed, Thanks, Wyatt. Keep doing the work. Then to Mom. Room's coming together nicely. Engineering classes start tomorrow. Finally to Dad. I'm going to change the world. Watch me. Come on, my floor mate called. Study group's waiting. I grabbed my books, ready to join my new classmates. Ready to begin. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. Sometimes it's about building yourself up so high they can't help but see you shine. Hey, Naomi. I turned back. Maybe I will write that book someday. She grinned. Start with, My parents drained my college fund. and end with, "But they couldn't drain my spirit," I finished. Because that's the thing about trying to steal someone's future. Sometimes you just make them fight harder to claim it. I closed the door behind me, heading toward my study group, toward my future, toward everything they tried to take and everything I took back. One step at a time, one victory at a time, one day at a time, until finally, gloriously, undeniably, it was all mine again. And this time, no one could take it away.
I held the manila envelope tightly, my hands shaking. Inside were photos and recordings, proof of months of lies and manipulation. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, casting shadows over the evidence that would protect me and my daughter. My name is Elena Martinez, and I was ready to fight. It started small. My mother-in-law, Victoria Sinclair, was a powerful woman, wealthy, well-connected, and convinced she knew best about everything, especially raising a child. My daughter, Sophia, was only 3, smart, curious, and my whole world. But to Victoria, she was just another prize to control. At first, it was little things, comments about my parenting disguised as concern. She needs more structure. Are you sure she's eating well? Each word chipped away at my confidence. My husband, Michael, was caught in the middle. He loved me, but he also loved his mother, unable to see her manipulation. She never accepted me, a woman from a working-class family who had married into her prestigious name. But I wasn't going to let her win. One autumn morning, I got a call from Dr. Emily Roberts, a child psychologist I had spoken to before. Her voice was tense. "Elena, be careful. Someone's asking questions about Sophia, your parenting, your past. They're trying to build a case against you." My heart stopped. I knew exactly who was behind it. I started collecting proof, hidden cameras, voice recordings, notes of every conversation with Victoria. I found out she was working with a corrupt social worker to make me look like an unfit mother. Her goal? Take Sophia away from me. But she underestimated me. Growing up with a single mother, I had learned to be strong. I had studied law part-time and knew how to protect myself. I gathered every piece of evidence, recordings of Victoria's plans, messages proving her scheme, even bank transfers to the social worker. Michael refused to believe it. "She just wants what's best for Sophia," he said. But I knew the truth. The night before I made my move, I sat in my office, surrounded by files and evidence. Sophia slept peacefully in the next room. I looked at a picture of my mother, a woman who had fought for me my whole life. I wouldn't let Victoria take my child. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. "We need to talk about Sophia's future." I smiled. Oh, we would. Everything was ready. The trap was set, and Victoria had no idea what was coming. The morning arrived with a calculated precision. I dressed carefully, choosing a blazer that subtly concealed the digital recorder tucked inside. Every movement was deliberate, every detail planned. Victoria had requested a family meeting at her expansive estate, a tactical error she would soon regret. The grand living room, with its antique furniture and crystal chandeliers, had always been her battlefield. Today, it would become her downfall. Michael drove, seemingly unaware of the tension brewing beneath the surface. Sophia sat in her car seat, humming a cheerful melody, oblivious to the storm about to break. "Are you okay?" Michael asked, catching my distant gaze. I offered a calm smile. Everything will be fine. The Sinclair estate loomed before us, a monument to generational wealth and hidden secrets. Victoria stood at the entrance, her perfectly tailored suit an armor of social expectation. "Welcome," she said, her smile never reaching her eyes. The initial pleasantries were a dance of calculated politeness. Victoria's gaze constantly drifted to Sophia, possessive and calculating. I watched her, recording every micro-expression. "I've been concerned about Sophia's development," Victoria began, her tone dripping with manufactured concern. "Perhaps it's time we discuss her future more seriously." Michael shifted uncomfortably. "Mom, what are you talking about?" I remained silent, letting her continue. Rope her in, let her reveal her hand. Victoria produced a folder, meticulously prepared documents suggesting my inadequacy as a mother, fabricated reports from a social worker, carefully worded medical assessments, financial analysis questioning my capability to provide. I've consulted with experts, she said, spreading the documents. I believe Sophia would be better served with more stable guardianship. Michael looked shocked. Mom, you can't be serious. But I saw the plan now. Complete. Calculated. A surgical attempt to strip me of my daughter. What Victoria didn't know was that every document she just presented was already documented. Every conversation recorded. Every meeting with the corrupt social worker mapped out in explicit detail. I reached into my bag, pulling out my own meticulously organized file. Shall we discuss your definition of stability? I said quietly. The next hour was a masterclass in strategic dismantling. Bank transfers to the social worker, recorded conversations discussing their plan, explicit evidence of attempted manipulation of legal systems. Victoria's composure began to crack. Her perfectly manicured facade started to crumble, piece by deliberate piece. Michael sat in stunned silence, watching as his mother's elaborate scheme unraveled. You've been planning to take my child, he whispered, the betrayal cutting deeper than any physical wound. Victoria tried to recover, to spin a narrative of maternal protection, but the evidence was overwhelming, not just circumstantial, but hard, irrefutable proof. I was trying to protect her, Victoria insisted, her voice losing its earlier confidence. From what? I asked coldly. From a mother who loves her, who has dedicated her entire life to her child's well-being. Sophia played quietly, building a tower of blocks, unaware that her entire world was being dissected around her. The confrontation wasn't just about winning. It was about exposing a generational pattern of control, of manipulation disguised as concern. Michael finally saw his mother for what she truly was. Not a protective grandmother, but a calculated manipulator willing to destroy a family to maintain control. I want a DNA test, Victoria suddenly demanded. Prove she's even Michael's daughter. The room went silent. I smiled. A cold, calculated smile that made Victoria take a step back. Are you certain, I said softly, that you want to pursue that line of questioning? The threat was clear. Family secrets have multiple layers, and I was prepared to unravel every single one. Victoria knew then. She had miscalculated completely. The meeting ended not with her victory, but with her retreat. Defeated. Exposed. As we left, Sophia still happily unaware, Michael turned to me. How long have you known? He asked. Everything, I replied. Always. The drive home was quiet, but it was the quiet of a battle won, of a family recalibrated, of boundaries firmly established. Sophia continued humming in her car seat. Innocent. Protected. Victoria had plotted to steal my child. She had no idea what I had planned. And this was just the beginning. The aftermath was not immediate, but methodical. Like a carefully orchestrated symphony, the consequences of Victoria's actions began to unfold with precision. Within weeks, the social worker involved in her scheme was under investigation. His career, his reputation, everything he had built, crumbled under the weight of documented evidence. Bank records, recorded conversations, explicit proof of attempted child custody manipulation. Michael's relationship with his mother transformed dramatically. The illusion of familial perfection shattered, replaced by a cold, calculated distance. He had discovered that protection sometimes means cutting out toxic influences, even when they share your blood. I can't believe she would go this far, Michael said one evening, watching Sophia play in the living room. All these years I thought she was just concerned. I understood his pain. Discovering the true nature of a parent is never easy. The legal proceedings moved swiftly. Victoria's attempt to challenge our custody was dead on arrival. Her reputation in the social circles she had so carefully cultivated began to crumble. Whispers replaced her once loud proclamations of family superiority. But this wasn't about revenge. This was about protection. My own network of support, professional contacts, legal advisors, even family friends, stood firmly behind me. They had witnessed Victoria's pattern of manipulation, her belief that wealth could solve everything. Sophia remained blissfully unaware. To her, life continued as always, filled with love, security, and endless possibilities. 3 months after the confrontation, an unexpected letter arrived. Handwritten. From Victoria. I read it carefully, my fingers tracing the elegant script. A request for mediation. a desire to understand, to potentially rebuild. Michael looked at me, uncertainty in his eyes. What do you want to do? I thought about my own mother, about generational healing, about the difference between protection and perpetual conflict. We'll listen, I said, but on our terms. The mediation was carefully structured, controlled environment, limited interaction, professional mediator present, every detail calculated to ensure Sophia's emotional safety. Victoria arrived looking diminished, the powerful matriarch reduced to a woman confronting her own limitations. I was wrong, she said, the words seemingly difficult to articulate. I thought I was protecting the family, protecting Sophia. Protection isn't manipulation. I responded quietly. Protection is love without conditions. Michael watched, silent. Processing. Healing. The mediator guided our conversation, not towards reconciliation, but understanding. Establishing clear boundaries. Defining what a relationship might look like, if it could exist at all. No unsupervised contact. Transparent communication. Respect for our family's autonomy. Victoria agreed. Not happily, but definitively. As we left, Sophia holding both our hands, I realized something profound. Victory wasn't about destroying Victoria. It was about creating a safe, healthy environment for our daughter. The legal documents were filed. The evidence preserved. A testament to a mother's determination to protect her child. Months passed. Life found its rhythm. Michael's architectural firm grew. I continued my work. Sophia thrived, curious, confident, loved. And Victoria, she remained on the periphery, allowed minimal supervised contact. A grandmother reduced to careful, controlled interactions. 1 year after that fateful confrontation, I found Michael looking through old family photographs. Do you regret how things turned out? I asked. He looked at me, then at Sophia playing nearby. No, he said firmly. I regret not seeing the truth sooner. Healing isn't linear. It's a journey of understanding, of setting boundaries, of choosing love over manipulation. Victoria had plotted to steal my child. She had no idea what I had planned. And in the end, the only thing stolen was her power to control us. Family isn't about blood. It's about protection. About love. About choice. And we had chosen our path. Clearly, definitively, unapologetically. You'll never see them again. Amanda's voice crackled over the phone, full of satisfaction. They're better off with me. You were never a good mother. My grip tightened on the phone as I looked at the empty beds where my twins, Lily and Lucas, should have been. Their favorite stuffed animals, a blue elephant and a purple giraffe, were gone too. Even in their panic, they had taken their comfort toys. Amanda, where are my children? I forced my voice to stay calm, though fear squeezed my chest. The house felt too quiet without them. Oh, now you care, she mocked. After I found those bruises, my blood turned cold. What bruises? What are you talking about? The ones you gave them, she snapped. I showed the family pictures. That's why no one stopped me when I took them. They all know what you are. My mind raced. A few hours ago, we had all been at my in-laws' house for a celebration. I had stepped away for a few minutes. When I came back, the twins and Amanda were gone. Those bruises are from gymnastics, I said. You saw them practicing their cartwheels. She laughed, sharp and cruel. Keep telling yourself that. I've been keeping records. The police will see the truth soon enough. I closed my eyes. Now it made sense. Amanda had been watching too closely, taking pictures of every little bump, asking questions. She had been planning this. Why are you doing this? Because you don't deserve them, she hissed. Or this house. Or my brother's money. You were just lucky, but your luck's run out. My late husband Mark's words echoed in my mind. He had warned me about his sister before he died 2 years ago. Amanda's possessive. She thinks she owns everything in my life. I should have listened more carefully. The twins need me, I said. They must be scared. They're fine, she said, sending a picture. It showed Lily and Lucas on an unfamiliar couch, eating ice cream, their faces tear-streaked but trying to smile. Their stuffed animals were beside them. Hope flickered in my chest. Let me talk to them, I demanded. No chance. And don't bother calling again. We'll be unreachable for a while. Amanda. She hung up. I stared at my phone, my hands shaking, but my mind was clear. Amanda thought she had won. She thought she had covered all her tracks. But she had made one mistake. She let them keep their toys. I hurried to my laptop and opened a tracking program. 6 months ago, after they got lost at the mall, I had sent tiny GPS trackers into their stuffed animals. I had meant to keep track of the toys. But now, they would help me find my children. 2 blinking dots appeared on the map, moving north. Amanda was heading to her lake house. I picked up my phone and called David, my brother-in-law, who worked in law enforcement. David, Amanda took the twins. She's making false accusations against me. I was afraid of this, he sighed. She's been acting strange since Mark died. She's obsessed with them. I know where she's going, I said, but I need to do this the right way. I don't want her twisting it against me. Send me the tracking info, he said, his voice firm. I'll call the police and meet you there. Don't go alone. I quickly packed a bag for the twins. As I grabbed their blankets, I spotted Lily's open diary. On today's page, she had written, Aunt Amanda said she's taking us on a special trip, but I'm scared. She said mean things about Mommy that aren't true. I don't want to go. Tears stung my eyes as I took a picture of the page. Another piece of proof. Amanda thought she had everything planned. She thought I would give up. But she had underestimated me. As I grabbed my keys, a new message popped up on my phone. Don't bother looking for us. By the time you figure out where we are, it'll be too late. I smiled grimly. Oh, Amanda, I whispered, starting the car. I already know exactly where you're going. The GPS dots kept moving north. I followed at a safe distance. She thought she was in control. She thought she had won. She was wrong. The winding road to Amanda's lake house was dark and empty, perfect for someone trying to disappear with 2 scared children. I kept a safe distance, following the steady blink of the GPS tracker on my laptop. David's police cruiser trailed a few minutes behind me, its lights off to stay hidden. My phone buzzed with another message from Amanda. The twins are asking about you. I told them you didn't want them anymore. Soon they'll forget all about you. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white. Through the speaker, David's voice crackled. We're 10 minutes out. Local units are in position. Wait for the signal before moving in. The GPS dots had stopped. They were inside now, where Amanda thought she had them safe from me. But her perfect plan had more holes than she realized. I pulled over a 1/4 mile from the house and shut off my lights. The glow from an upstairs window made my chest tighten. Lily and Lucas were in there, scared and confused, no matter how much ice cream Amanda used to comfort them. Another text. They finally stopped crying for you. Children are so adaptable, aren't they? David's car pulled up behind mine. He approached my window. We've got every exit covered. The judge signed the emergency order. We're good to go. What about Amanda? I asked. She's unstable. What if she? We'll handle her, David said. Then his expression darkened. We found evidence on her phone. She's been planning this for months. Fake social media accounts, false documents. She even paid someone to fake those bruised photos. I wasn't surprised. Amanda was always calculating. She blames me for Mark's death, doesn't she? I asked. David sighed. She thinks if you hadn't asked him to pick up the twins that night, he wouldn't have been on the road when the drunk driver hit him. The guilt I carried tried to crush me, but I forced it back. This wasn't about me. It was about getting my children home. Through my windshield, I saw shadows moving in the upstairs window. Lily and Lucas were awake. Their GPS dots shifted on my screen. Look, I pointed. They're in the front bedroom. That's where we shouled. A scream tore through the night. Lily. I threw open my car door. David grabbed my arm. Wait. We need tow. Another scream. Lucas this time. No, we want Mommy. I ran, David and his team right behind me. Through an open window, I heard Amanda's voice. Stop it. I'm your mother now. She doesn't love you like I do. The front door was locked, but an officer kicked it open. I raced up the stairs, my heart pounding. Inside the bedroom, Amanda stood between the twins, holding their stuffed animals, the ones with the trackers, over a trash can. These are baby toys, she said. You don't need them anymore. You don't need her anymore. David stepped forward, gun drawn, dropped the toys and stepped away from the children. Amanda spun around, eyes wild. How did you find us? How did you? Her gaze dropped to the stuffed animals and realization hit. You tracked us, she hissed. You spied on us? She yanked at the toys, trying to rip them apart. Now, David shouted. Officers lunged, grabbing her arms. I ran to my twins, and they threw themselves into my arms, sobbing. I held them tight, breathing in their warmth, feeling their hearts race against mine. It's okay, I whispered. Mommy's here. As the officers dragged Amanda away, she screamed about betrayal and tracking devices. The toys lay forgotten on the floor, their hidden trackers having done their job. My children were safe. That's all that mattered. But this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. 3 months have passed since that night at the lake house. The legal case moved quickly, especially after David's team found out everything Amanda had planned. Her phone was full of fake photos, false social media posts, and a journal explaining how she would take the twins. Today, I sit in a courthouse waiting room, my hands clasped tightly. The twins are safe at school, slowly healing with the help of their therapist. They still sleep with their stuffed animals, knowing the trackers inside will always help me find them if needed. David walks up beside me. The judge is ready, he says. He has been my support through everything, even while dealing with his own feelings about his sister. Inside the courtroom, Amanda sits at the defendant's table, looking smaller than before. She no longer seems angry, just tired and defeated. Her lawyer told her to take a plea deal since the evidence against her was overwhelming. The judge clears her throat. Before I give my decision, does the defendant have anything to say? Amanda stands slowly, her hands shaking as she holds a piece of paper. I thought I was protecting them, she says in a quiet voice. After Mark died, I was so scared of losing anyone else. I convinced myself that Sarah was dangerous, that the twins needed me more. I let my grief turn into something terrible. She turns to me, tears running down her face. I'm sorry. I see now that I was wrong. They need a real mother, not an aunt who lost herself in grief. The judge listens carefully before speaking. Amanda Peters, this court sentences you to 3 years of probation, psychiatric treatment, and a restraining order preventing contact with Sarah Mitchell and her children. You will also complete 500 hours of community service at a grief counseling center. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. It's over. Outside, David walks up to me. She's agreed to stay in a treatment center, he says. Doctors think therapy will help her deal with her grief in a better way. I hope it helps, I reply, surprised that I truly mean it. Mark would have wanted that. That evening, I pick up the twins from school. They chat about their day, their past trauma slowly fading. But I know they still carry scars. Lily checks her toys tracker every night, and Lucas keeps a bag packed just in case. Mommy, Lily asks as we pull into the driveway, is Aunt Amanda still sick? I choose my words carefully. She's getting help to feel better. Sometimes when people are very sad, they make bad choices that hurt others. But that doesn't make it okay. Will we see her again? Lucas asks, holding his stuffed elephant. Not for a long time, sweetheart, but that's not your fault. None of this was your fault. Inside, as I help with homework and dinner, I notice signs of healing. Lily laughs more, and Lucas doesn't flinch at loud noises anymore. The GPS trackers in their toys have become less about safety and more about comfort, reminders that they are always connected to me. Later that night, after tucking them in, I pull out an old photo album. There's Amanda with Mark at his college graduation, both smiling, unaware of the pain ahead. I understand her grief. Losing Mark broke all of us. But while she let it control her, I chose to keep living for the twins. My phone buzzes with a message from David. Amanda is settling into the treatment center. She asked if she could write letters to the twins someday. No pressure, just something to think about. I close the album, thinking about forgiveness. Maybe one day, when the twins are older and Amanda has healed, we can rebuild something. Not the same as before, but something honest. For now, my focus is on my children. The GPS trackers will stay as long as they need them, a small piece of technology that saved them when nothing else could. Before bed, I check on them one last time. They've pushed their beds closer together, their stuffed animals lined up between them. In the soft nightlight, I almost see Mark's smile on their sleeping faces. We're safe now, I whisper, more to myself than to them. That's all that matters. On my phone screen, the GPS dots blink steadily, 2 small points of light that mark home, love, and an unbreakable bond. Amanda didn't understand. Some love can't be stolen, and some mothers will always find their way back to their children, no matter what. I'm pregnant, and it's James's baby, my sister Amanda announced loudly, silencing the guests at my engagement party. I froze, my champagne glass still in my hand. Everyone turned to look at her. She stood there in a blue dress, one hand on her stomach. Beside me, James turned pale, his grip on my waist loosening. My name is Olivia Parker. I'm 28 years old, and in that moment, I watched my perfect life fall apart. The fairy lights we had hung earlier now felt like they were mocking me. It's been happening for months, Amanda continued, crying. We never wanted to hurt you, but we're in love. People turned to me, waiting for a big reaction, but I stayed quiet. I had learned long ago that silence could be more powerful than words. Olivia, sweetheart, my mom said, stepping forward. We need to talk about this as a family. Amanda is going through a hard time. Of course she was. Amanda was always the one needing understanding. When she crashed my car, when she maxed out my credit card, when she ruined my graduation dress. And every time, I was expected to forgive her. She's your sister, my dad added. But his concern was for Amanda, not me. She was now crying into James's chest. My fiancé, the man I had trusted. Calmly, I placed my glass on the table. Excuse me, I said and walked toward the house. Olivia, wait. My mom followed me into the kitchen. You can't just leave. Amanda is pregnant. This changes everything. I looked at her, my voice steady. You're right, it does. She sighed in relief. Then you understand. We need to support Amanda. She's fragile. I almost laughed. Even now, it was all about Amanda. I understand, I said, picking up my car keys. Where are you going? She asked in panic. We need to talk. Amanda has you, I replied. She always has. As I walked to my car, James called my name. I didn't turn around. I didn't cry. I didn't give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. Instead, I drove to the one place I knew I could think clearly, my grandmother's cottage by the lake. What no one knew was that I had suspected this for weeks. James's secret texts, his unexplained meetings, Amanda's sudden illnesses, it all made sense. But I hadn't just suspected. I had prepared. 2 weeks ago, I hired a private investigator. 1 week ago, I moved my important belongings into a safety deposit box. 3 days ago, I started removing James from our joint accounts, and yesterday, I convinced him to take a DNA test, pretending it was for insurance. Sitting on my grandmother's porch, I ignored the flood of messages from James, Amanda, and my parents. Instead, I called the one person who had never believed Amanda's lies, my Aunt Sarah. I saw Amanda's little show on Facebook Live, she said. She always loved drama. She says she's pregnant, I told her. So she says, Aunt Sarah replied. But you didn't call me just to cry, did you? No, I said, sitting up straighter. I need your help. Does it involve making Amanda and James regret this? It might. I'm in, she said. What's the plan? For the first time that night, I smiled. First, we wait for the DNA results. Then, we show them what real family loyalty looks like. That night, as I lay in bed, my phone finally stopped buzzing. My family probably thought I was somewhere crying, waiting to forgive them. They thought they knew me, the quiet, responsible one who always put family first. But they have forgotten something. I was also my grandmother's granddaughter, and she had taught me that sometimes the quiet ones are the most dangerous. I opened her old journal, the one where she had written about handling betrayal and getting justice. Sometimes, dear, she had written, the best revenge is letting people think they've won, until they realize they've lost everything. I smiled. Amanda had chosen the moment to ruin my life, but I would choose the moment to reveal the truth. The DNA results would arrive in 2 months. Until then, I had work to do. The next 2 months tested my patience. I watched from a distance as Amanda and James played the happy couple, fully supported by my parents. Amanda even moved into my old apartment, the one I had shared with James, while I stayed at my grandmother's cottage, quietly putting my plan into action. They're telling everyone you had a breakdown. Aunt Sarah told me one morning over coffee. Amanda's acting like the caring sister, stepping in to support James while you recover. I calmly stirred my coffee. What else? They're having an engagement party next week. Your mother is calling it a celebration of new beginnings. Aunt Sarah rolled her eyes. Linda's pretending you never existed. That was my mother's specialty, rewriting history. Now she had turned me into the unstable one, while Amanda was the responsible sister creating a happy family. If only they knew what I had found. The private investigator's report had everything: hotel security footage, time-stamped photos, credit card statements, but the most important detail: medical records that would soon change everything. "Are you sure about this?" Aunt Sarah asked as I looked over the documents. "Once you do this, there's no going back. Your relationship with your parents was over the moment they chose Amanda's lies," I said. Again, my phone buzzed. A notification from the lab. The DNA results were ready. The timing was perfect. Tonight was Amanda and James's engagement party, hosted by my parents at their country club, the same place where, 3 months ago, James had proposed to me. "Ready?" Aunt Sarah asked as we parked outside. I smoothed my black dress. Power, not mourning. Absolutely. Even from the entrance, I could hear the party. Amanda's laugh rang out, and my mother's voice proudly introduced her expecting daughter and future son-in-law. Then silence. "Olivia," my mother said, forcing a smile. "This is a private party." "I won't stay long," I said. "I just came to share some news." Amanda stepped forward, her hand protectively over her growing belly. "Haven't you caused enough drama? We're trying to celebrate." I smiled, remembering my grandmother's advice. Let them think they've won. I actually brought a gift. I pulled an envelope from my purse. James's DNA test results. James, who had been standing stiffly since I arrived, went pale. "That was for insurance," he stammered. "It's private." "Oh, but family matters should be discussed openly," I said, using my mother's favorite phrase. "Right, Mom?" My father stepped in, his face angry. "That's enough, Olivia. You're making a scene." "No," I said quietly. "Amanda made a scene at my engagement party. I'm just finishing it." I opened the envelope slowly. "These results show something interesting. Something that makes it impossible for James to be your baby's father." Amanda's face drained of color. Behind her, James looked confused, then shocked, then furious as the truth hit him. "You're lying," Amanda whispered. "Science doesn't lie," I said. "But you do. About the pregnancy. About James. About everything." "Amanda." James's voice was hoarse. "What is she talking about?" I pulled out another document. "The investigator found your medical records. You had fertility treatments 3 months ago with your ex-boyfriend, Michael. The one you've been secretly seeing." Gasps and whispers filled the room. My mother swayed, reaching for support. "The timing is perfect," I continued. "You got pregnant right after James and I announced our engagement, and since Michael left you, I let the meaning sink in." "You planned this?" James asked Amanda, his voice rising. "All of it." Tears welled in Amanda's eyes, her usual move. "I was desperate. Michael left, and I saw how happy you were with Olivia. I thought. You thought you could steal my fiancé, lie about the baby's father, and have our parents cover for you," I finished. "And you were right. They did." I turned to my parents, who stood frozen. "You didn't even question it, did you? You just believed Amanda, like always." "We didn't know," my mother whispered. "You didn't want to know," I corrected. "You never do with her." The room had fallen completely silent. Even Amanda had stopped crying, realizing there was no way out. "You knew all along?" James asked, his voice shaky. "I suspected," I said. "Amanda's never been as clever as she thinks. And you've never been good at keeping secrets." Aunt Sarah stepped forward, her heels clicking on the polished floor. "I think," she said loudly, "this party is over." James stormed out. Amanda sobbed. My parents stood helplessly, trying to salvage what was left. No one looked at me. "Grandmother would be proud," Aunt Sarah said as we walked to the car. I thought of her journal, her lessons on patience and justice. Yes, I agreed. She would. But this wasn't over. The DNA test and medical records were just the beginning. There were more truths to reveal, more lessons to be taught. Amanda had always been the star of our family's show, but now I was in control of the final act. The fallout from the country club revelation was more satisfying than I had imagined. Within days, Amanda's carefully built world fell apart. James moved out of our old apartment immediately, leaving Amanda alone with her lies. Her ex-boyfriend, Michael, The real father of her baby wanted nothing to do with her. And my parents? They finally had to face the consequences of their choices. One day, my mother found me at the grocery store. "She's not eating," she said. "She needs her sister." I kept picking apples, not looking up. No, what she needs is to face the truth. Something you never made her do. "We made mistakes," she admitted, her voice shaking. "But she's still your sister." I finally met her gaze. "And I was still your daughter every time you chose her over me." Then came another revelation, this one from Aunt Sarah. Over dinner, she shared what she had discovered. "Your father has been paying Amanda's credit card bills for years," she said, "including the hotels where she met Michael while you and James were engaged." I shouldn't have been surprised, but it still hurt. So they knew. They suspected. Aunt Sarah corrected. But questioning Amanda was never their way. I thought about all the times I had worked extra hours to pay for college, while Amanda's expenses were always covered without question. It was clear now, they hadn't just enabled her behavior, they had funded it. 3 weeks after the engagement party, I got an unexpected visitor. James stood on my grandmother's porch, looking exhausted and ashamed. "I'm not here to apologize," he said quickly. "I mean, I am sorry, but I know it doesn't change anything." "Then why are you here?" He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous habit I used to love. "I'm leaving town. Taking that job in Seattle. I needed you to know that you were right. About everything." I leaned against the doorframe. "Not everything. I thought you loved me." His flinch said it all. After he left, I sat on the porch swing where grandmother used to tell me stories. Her journal lay open in my lap, and one passage stood out. "The greatest victory isn't in destroying those who hurt you, but in rebuilding yourself stronger than before." Then came the final twist, one that changed everything. One morning, Aunt Sarah arrived with a stack of legal papers. "I found these in Mother's safety deposit box," she said, spreading them on the table. "Looks like grandmother left you more than just the cottage." The documents revealed a trust fund in my name, one meant to help with my wedding and a future home. She had also kept records of every dollar my parents had taken from her to cover Amanda's expenses over the years. "There's a letter for you," Aunt Sarah added, handing me an envelope. In grandmother's neat handwriting, it read, "My dearest Olivia, if you're reading this, they finally pushed you too far. Use these documents wisely. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people face the consequences of their own actions." I followed her advice. My lawyer sent copies of the financial records to my parents with a simple note. The truth has a way of revealing itself. 2 days later, Amanda moved back home, her perfect future in ruins. My parents could no longer deny what they had done. "What do you want from us?" my father asked over the phone, his voice heavy with defeat. "Nothing," I said honestly. "I don't want anything from you anymore." That was the real victory, not punishing them, but freeing myself. 6 months later, I sold my share of the family property. Amanda tried to fight it, but the documents were airtight. I used the money to buy a small bookstore near the cottage, something I had always dreamed of but never pursued because my parents wanted me to be practical. Aunt Sarah helped me renovate, and on opening day she gave me a special gift. Grandmother's journal, rebound in leather with a new inscription. For Olivia, who learned that the quietest voice often speaks the loudest truth. I keep the DNA test results in my desk drawer, not as a reminder of betrayal, but as proof of my strength. Amanda still lives with our parents, her baby due any day now. I hear things about them sometimes, but their drama no longer touches me. Last week, I got a wedding invitation from James. He's marrying someone new in Seattle. I sent it back unopened. Some chapters are better left closed. Now, as I sit on the cottage porch watching the sunset over the lake, I finally understand what grandmother meant about victory. It's not about winning the fight, it's about choosing your own path forward. Amanda's betrayal didn't break me. It set me free, and that is the best revenge of all. "We don't need all that legal paperwork, Emily. Just trust me," Marcus said, leaning casually against the kitchen counter. He acted like he hadn't just suggested moving his mistress into his new apartment while keeping me stuck in our marriage. "You can stay here, and everyone wins." I gripped my coffee mug, letting its warmth steady me as I studied my husband of 8 years. He stood there, confident in his expensive new suit, one I probably helped pay for, thinking I'd go along with his little plan. "My name is Emily. I'm 34, and I was watching my husband try to have it both ways. The irony wasn't lost on me that we were in the Victorian house my grandmother left me, the same grandmother who taught me about dignity and self-respect. So let me get this straight, I said calmly. You want to move in with Jessica, your 26-year-old assistant, but you don't want a legal divorce or financial settlement. Marcus grinned, mistaking my question for agreement. Exactly. No lawyers, no court drama. You keep the house, I get my freedom. It's perfect. I sipped my coffee, thinking about the legal document sitting upstairs, the one Marcus never read when my grandmother passed away. He was too busy with a very important deal to even attend her funeral. And what about our joint accounts, the investments we made together? I asked. He waved a hand dismissively. We'll figure that out later. Jessica and I found a great apartment and the lease starts next week. I just need to know you won't make this difficult. The morning light shone through the stained glass windows, casting colorful patterns on the hardwood floor. My grandmother had restored those windows herself. I remembered cleaning them with her as she shared lessons on family, loyalty, and self-respect. You know, I said, rinsing my mug, Grandma Rose always said trust is earned, not given. Marcus rolled his eyes. Not everything has to be a lesson from your grandmother, Emily. This is about happiness. Jessica makes me happy. Can't you understand that? I dried my hands, thinking of the clause Grandma Rose had added to her will, the one she explained to me years ago with a knowing smile. Sometimes, dear, she had said, the best way to protect yourself is to let people think they're getting what they want. All right, I said, turning to face Marcus. No legal paperwork. No divorce. You can move in with Jessica next week. His face lit up. I knew you'd understand. This is why you're different from other women. So practical, so reasonable. He didn't notice the small smile on my lips. Marcus never was good at reading people, especially women. That's why he never understood my grandmother, and why he never bothered to read the details of the inheritance. I'll start packing tonight, he said, checking his expensive watch. Another thing I helped him afford. Oh, and don't worry about the joint account. I'll still cover my share of the house expenses. I nodded, watching him practically skip out of the kitchen, already texting Jessica about their victory. As his footsteps disappeared upstairs, I walked into my grandmother's old study, now my study. I opened the bottom drawer and pulled out the leather folder containing her will. On page 6 was the clause she had added, in her careful handwriting. If the spouse of the inheritor abandons the marriage without legal dissolution while maintaining financial ties, all joint assets shall be automatically frozen and placed in trust. I traced my fingers over her signature. Grandma Rose had seen through Marcus the first time she met him. She knew his type, charming, ambitious, always looking for an easy way out. That's why she had put this clause in place, along with several others Marcus was about to discover. Thanks, Grandma, I whispered, listening to Marcus hum as he packed. He had no idea what was coming. I picked up my phone and sent a quick email to Mr. Patterson, my grandmother's lawyer. It's time. Marcus is moving out Monday. Please proceed with Protocol R. His reply came within minutes. Everything is prepared, Emily. Your grandmother would be proud. I smiled, thinking about how shocked Marcus would be when he learned what keeping things simple really meant. From upstairs, I heard him laughing on the phone, probably with Jessica, celebrating his win. Let him laugh. Monday was coming. Monday arrived with the kind of crisp autumn air my grandmother had always loved. I sat in my study, watching through the window as Marcus loaded the last of his boxes into his BMW. He'd been cheerful all weekend, acting as if he were doing me a favor by leaving. I left my keys on the counter, he said, stepping back inside. I'll transfer my share of the house expenses tonight. See, we can be civil about this. I nodded. Of course. Have a good life, Marcus. He hesitated, maybe surprised by how calm I was. But then his phone buzzed, probably Jessica, and he gave me a quick wave before walking out, leaving behind 8 years of marriage without a second glance. I waited until this card disappeared before texting Mr. Patterson. He's gone. His reply came instantly. Excellent. Protocol R is now active. Give it about an hour. I made myself tea in my grandmother's old porcelain set and settled in to wait. The house felt peaceful, not empty. The clock on the wall, the one my grandmother had restored, ticked steadily, marking the minutes. 53 minutes later, my phone rang. Marcus's name flashed on the screen. Emily. His voice was panicked. Something's wrong with my cards. They're all being declined, even my ATM card. That's strange, I said, sipping my tea. Did you call the bank? I'm at the bank right now. They're saying all our joint accounts are frozen. Something about a trust? What did you do? I could hear the frustration in his voice, already blaming me instead of himself. Typical. I didn't do anything, Marcus. It's from Grandma Rose's will, the one you never read because you were too busy at the funeral. A long pause. What are you talking about? There's a clause in the inheritance, I explained. If a spouse leaves the marriage without a legal divorce but keeps financial ties, all joint assets are frozen and placed in a trust. Page 6, if you're curious. Silence. I could picture him standing in the bank, his face turning red as he realized what had happened. You can't be serious, he finally sputtered. That's not legal. It is. Grandma Rose had excellent lawyers. If you had paid attention to the estate meetings, you'd know that. She put this clause in place to prevent, well, exactly what you tried to do. But what about my apartment? Jessica's waiting for me. I need to pay the deposit today. I took another sip of tea. That's unfortunate. Maybe you should have thought of that before deciding to keep things simple without legal paperwork. Emily, be reasonable. His voice shifted to his usual smooth, persuasive tone. Maybe I was too hasty about moving out. We can talk. Actually, I interrupted, there's more. The only way to unfreeze the accounts is to either go through a legal divorce with proper asset division or sign an agreement to attend marriage counseling. I heard him suck in a sharp breath. Marcus hated therapy. He always said it was for weak people who couldn't fix their own problems. You planned this, he accused. You and your grandmother set me up. No, Marcus, you planned this. You wanted to move in with Jessica while keeping me financially tied to you. Grandma Rose just made sure there were consequences. In the background, I heard Jessica's voice asking what was wrong. The irony made me smile. He would now have to explain to his new girlfriend that his wife's grandmother had outsmarted him. This isn't over, he snapped. You're right, I said. It's not over until you either divorce me properly or agree to counseling. Your choice. Mr. Patterson has the paperwork ready for both. And Marcus, the longer you wait, the more the trust earns interest. Granville was very thorough. I ended the call and walked to the window. The autumn leaves were turning gold and red, just like my grandmother had loved. Autumn shows us how beautiful it is to let things go, she used to say. My phone buzzed with a text from Mr. Patterson. Marcus just called. He's upset. Should I send him the full terms of the trust? I smiled. There were plenty more surprises waiting for Marcus in that document. Yes, I replied. I think it's time he learned what keeping things simple really means. Outside, the breeze carried a few leaves from the old maple tree my grandmother had planted years ago. Its roots were deep, just like her wisdom. Marcus was about to learn that some lessons come with a hefty price. 2 weeks later, I sat across from Marcus in Mr. Patterson's office. His hands shook as he signed the divorce papers. Gone was his expensive suit. He now wore wrinkled khakis and a faded polo. His hair was messy, and dark circles shadowed his eyes. The past 2 weeks had been rough for him. Without access to our joint accounts, he had to move back in with his parents. Jessica quickly lost interest when she realized their luxury apartment dreams were over. He also discovered another surprise. Most of his investments were tied to joint assets, which were now frozen under the trust. Initial here, Mr. Patterson pointed, and here. This confirms you agree to the asset division. Marcus clenched his jaw as he signed. The terms were fair, exactly what he would have gotten with a proper divorce from the start. But now he had no power, no secret funds, and no choice. You must be happy, he muttered, avoiding my eyes. You and your grandmother planned this all along. Actually, I said, Grandma Rose thought better of you than you deserved. The trust had a reconciliation option. Counseling, remember. You chose this, just like you chose to miss her funeral for a business deal. Mr. Patterson cleared his throat. Everything is in order. Mrs. Walker, you'll keep the house and your personal accounts. Mr. Walker, your share of the assets will be transferred within 48 hours. As we stood to leave, Marcus lingered at the door. I don't understand, he said, confused. Why didn't you tell me about the clause when I first said I was moving out? I thought about all the times he ignored my grandmother's wisdom, skipped family dinners, and made me feel small for valuing tradition over his idea of success. Would you have listened? I asked. He had no answer. Walking out of the office, I felt lighter than I had in years. The crisp autumn air smelled of fallen leaves and new beginnings. My phone buzzed. A text from my best friend, Anna. Done? Ready for that bottle of wine? Come over, I replied. I have a story to tell you. That evening in my grandmother's, my study, Anna and I toasted to fresh starts. I told her everything. Marcus's plan, the trust clause, and his downfall. Your grandmother was brilliant, Anna said, raising her glass. She protected you even after she was gone. I smiled, touching the leather folder that held her will. She understood people better than they understood themselves. She saw through Marcus from the start. What about Jessica? Anna asked. Did she really dump him over the apartment? I laughed. Yep. She didn't want to live with his parents while he sorted things out. Last I heard, she's dating one of the partners at his firm. Karma, Anna grinned, pouring more wine. Looking around the study, I felt my grandmother's presence. The room held her favorite books, old photographs, and pieces of a life well lived. She always said real wealth wasn't just money, it was wisdom, self-respect, and knowing when to stand your ground. You know what's funny? I said, running a finger along the spine of her favorite book. Marcus kept saying he wanted to keep things simple. In the end, that's exactly what happened, just not the way he planned. Anna raised her glass. To Grandma Rose, the queen of long-game revenge. Not revenge, I corrected, smiling. Justice. She always said there's a difference. Later that night, after Anna left, I sat in my grandmother's rocking chair by the window. The moonlight streamed through the stained glass, casting soft patterns on the floor. In my hands, I held the last letter she'd written me. My dearest Emily, it read. Strength isn't about never getting hurt. It's about knowing how to protect yourself. Some people will take advantage of your kindness. Let them think they're succeeding, right up until they learn their lesson. I folded the letter and looked at her portrait. Her eyes twinkled with that mix of wisdom and mischief. Thanks, Grandma, I whispered. For everything. Outside, the autumn wind rustled through the trees, carrying away the last traces of my life with Marcus. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and new adventures. But tonight, I celebrated the wisdom of a woman who had known exactly what I would need, long before I did. Sometimes the best endings aren't about winning or losing. They're about knowing your worth and walking away from those who never saw it in the first place. Marcus yelled, slamming the divorce papers onto the kitchen table. You're being selfish. My mother is dying, and you won't even get tested to see if you're a match. I gripped the counter, trying to stay calm. I never thought my marriage would end like this, over my decision not to donate a kidney to my mother-in-law, Diana. Marcus, please try to understand. I started, but he cut me off. Understand what, Julia? That you're letting my mother die because you're too scared? Too selfish? His face was red with anger. She welcomed you into this family, and this is how you repay her. Welcomed me? I almost laughed. Diana had spent the last 8 years criticizing everything about me, my cooking, my job, even my marriage, but that wasn't why I couldn't donate. Sign the papers, he demanded. If you won't help my mother, I want nothing to do with you. My hands shook as I picked up the pen. I could tell him the truth right now, explain why I couldn't donate. But would it even matter? He had already chosen her over me, like always. Fine, I said quietly, signing my name. I hope you and Diana will be very happy together. He grabbed the papers and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. As soon as he was gone, I sank to the floor, finally letting the tears fall. My name is Julia Chen, and 3 months ago I was diagnosed with early-stage kidney cancer. The same day Diana found out she needed a transplant, I was scheduling my own surgery to remove a tumor. I hadn't told anyone, not even Marcus. We had been trying for a baby, and I knew the news would crush him. I planned to tell him after surgery, once I had more answers. But then Diana got sick, and suddenly, everything was about her. At Sunday dinner a few weeks ago, Diana had smiled sweetly. Julia, dear, you're young and healthy. Surely you'd be willing to help your mother-in-law? Marcus had immediately agreed. Of course she will, Mom. Julia knows how important family is. I nearly choked on my wine. Family? Diana had done everything she could to ruin our marriage. She even tried to set Marcus up with someone else last Christmas, right in front of me. Now, sitting on my kitchen floor, I picked up my phone and called my doctor. Hi, this is Julia Mitchell. Can we move my surgery up? My circumstances have changed. The next few days were a blur of packing and making arrangements. I took a leave from work, telling everyone it was for elective surgery. Marcus didn't come home. He was probably at his mother's, letting her turn him against me. His sister Emma, the only person in his family who had ever been kind to me, called me in tears. Julia, please reconsider. Mom is getting worse, and Marcus is falling apart. Just get tested, maybe you won't even be a match. I gripped the phone. Emma, I can't. I'm sorry, but there are things you don't know. She hesitated. What things? Julia, whatever Mom has done. It's not about her, I said. I can't. Please trust me. There was a long pause. You're hiding something, she said softly. I can hear it in your voice. I ended the call before I broke down. Emma had always defended me, but this was my health, my choice. I didn't owe anyone an explanation. The night before my surgery, Marcus showed up. He looked awful, unshaven, exhausted. Mom's doctor says she has maybe 6 months without a transplant, he said. This is her last chance, Julia. How can you be so heartless? I stood in the doorway, not letting him in. I'm not heartless, Marcus. I literally can't donate. Can't or won't. He snapped. Forget it. I just came to get the rest of my things. The divorce will be final in 3 months. As he walked past me, I caught the scent of his mother's perfume on his shirt. Of course, he'd been staying with her, letting her comfort him over his selfish wife. Part of me wanted to tell him everything about the cancer, the surgery, the fear I had been carrying alone. But the words wouldn't come. Let him think I was selfish. Let him leave. At least then, I wouldn't have to watch him put his mother first while I fought my own battle. My surgery was scheduled for tomorrow morning. The doctor was hopeful, but there were no guarantees. I would face this alone, just like I had faced everything else since Diana came into our lives. As Marcus carried boxes to his car, I wondered if he even noticed I was gone. Would he be too busy taking care of his mother to realize his soon-to-be ex-wife had disappeared for weeks of recovery? The last thing he picked up was our wedding album. He stared at it for a long moment before dropping it into the donation pile on the curb. Goodbye, Julia, he said coldly, not looking at me. I hope you can live with your choice. If only he knew. The hospital room was quiet except for the steady beep of monitors and the soft footsteps of nurses. 2 weeks had passed since my surgery, and now the pathology results were finally in. Dr. Peterson stood at the foot of my bed, flipping through my chart. The surgery was successful, Julia. We removed the tumor and the surrounding tissue. Your margins are clear, she smiled. But I still recommend targeted therapy just to make sure we've eliminated any remaining cancer cells. Relief flooded through me. How long will the treatment take? 6 to 8 weeks. You'll need to rest and focus on recovery. She hesitated. Have you thought about telling your family? Support is important during treatment. Family. The word felt empty now. Marcus hadn't reached out since he moved out. Emma had left messages, but I hadn't answered. How could I explain my absence without telling the full truth? I'll be fine on my own, I said. I've hired a home health nurse to help me recover. Just then, I heard a commotion outside. A familiar voice, Emma's, arguing with a nurse. I know she's here. I saw her name on the surgery schedule. Please, I need to see my sister-in-law. My stomach dropped. Emma worked in the medical field. Of course she might have seen my name. I should have used my maiden name. Before I could react, Emma burst into my room. She froze, taking in the IVs, my pale face, the hospital bed. Julia, her voice shook. Oh my God, what's wrong? Why are you in the oncology ward? Dr. Peterson glanced at me. I nodded, giving her permission to speak. There was no point hiding it anymore. Mrs. Mitchell had a partial nephrectomy, Dr. Peterson explained gently. We removed a tumor from her kidney. Emma's hands flew to her mouth. Kidney cancer? But Mom needs a transplant, and you? Her eyes widened as she put the pieces together. You couldn't donate because you had cancer. Tears welled in my eyes. I found out the same day Deanna announced she needed a kidney. I was going to tell Marcus after my surgery, but everything happened so fast. Emma rushed to my bedside, carefully wrapping her arms around me. Why didn't you tell us? Why did you let Marcus think you were being selfish? I wiped my face with a tissue. Would it have mattered? He already chose Diana over me. If he knew I had cancer, he'd only feel guilty, and Diana would still make it about her. But he's divorcing you over this. He thinks you refused out of spite. Maybe that's easier, I said quietly. I couldn't be the donor he wanted. I couldn't be the perfect daughter-in-law Diana expected. At least this way, he doesn't have to feel responsible for me. Emma sat on the edge of my bed, struggling to take it all in. Julia, he needs to know. Mom needs to know. This changes everything. I shook my head. Diana still needs a kidney, and I still can't give her one. Nothing's changed except now you know why. But. Please, Emma, I interrupted. I'm starting treatment soon. I need to focus on getting better, not dealing with Marcus and Diana. Promise me you won't tell them. She hesitated, torn. Finally, she sighed. Fine. But I'm not leaving you to handle this alone. I'm staying to help whether you like it or not. True to her word, Emma was by my side for the next few weeks. She took time off work, drove me to appointments, made sure I ate properly, and sat with me during treatments. One afternoon, as we lounged in my living room watching movies, my phone buzzed. A message from Marcus. Mom's getting worse. The doctors say she needs the transplant soon. I hope you're happy with your decision. Emma glanced at the screen and snatched the phone from my hands. That's it, I'm telling him. No. I tried to grab it back, but the sudden movement sent pain through my side. I gasped, and Emma's anger softened. Look at you, she said gently. You're recovering from surgery, and he's making you feel guilty for something you physically can't do. This isn't fair, Julia. Life isn't fair, I said, thinking about everything that have led us here. But I made my choice. I need to deal with this on my own terms. Emma huffed. You and Marcus are both impossible. No wonder you got along so well. Despite everything, I laughed. It felt good to laugh, to have someone who understood. Later that night, after Emma left, I stared at the divorce papers on my coffee table. In less than a month, my marriage would be over. Marcus would be free to focus on his mother, never knowing how close he came to having two sick women in his life instead of one. I touched my healing incision, thinking about the road ahead. The cancer might be gone, but recovery would take time. Treatment would be tough. But somehow, I felt stronger than I had in years. I didn't need Marcus's guilt. I didn't need Diana's manipulation. I had Emma, my own resilience, and a future that, while uncertain, was still mine to face. The truth would come out eventually. Secrets like this always did. But when it did, I'd be ready. The truth came out sooner than I expected. 6 weeks into my treatment, I ran into Marcus at the hospital. I was leaving my oncologist's office when I saw him step out of the elevator, looking down at his phone. He walked right past me at first, then stopped suddenly and turned around. His eyes widened. Julia? I froze. I knew I looked different, thinner, paler, my hair not as full. I wore a loose sweater to hide the port in my chest, but there was no hiding the signs of illness. What are you? Why are you here? His gaze flicked to the sign. Oncology department. His face went pale. Before I could answer, Dr. Peterson stepped out of her office. Julia, don't forget your scan is at 9 a.m. tomorrow. We'll review the results next week to see how your treatment is working. Marcus took a step back, like someone had hit him. Treatment? Julia, what's going on? I should go, I said, trying to walk past him. He gently caught my arm. Please, I need to understand. I looked at his hand, remembering how easily he let me go before. Now you want to understand? Not when you were divorcing me or calling me selfish. His voice was shaky. Emma told Mom everything yesterday, about your cancer, your surgery, why you couldn't donate. I came here today because I needed to see if it was true. So Emma had told them. I should have known she wouldn't keep it a secret forever. Well, now you know, I said. You can go back to Diana with a clear conscience. Julia, wait. His eyes were full of tears. Why didn't you tell me? I'm your husband. Soon-to-be ex-husband, I corrected. And I didn't tell you because you already made your choice. You chose Diana. Like always. He ran a hand through his hair, something he always did when he was overwhelmed. I didn't know. All this time, I thought you were being selfish, but you were actually fighting cancer alone. Not alone, I said. Emma has been helping me. He let out a bitter laugh. Emma knew before I did. Your own husband. You gave up the right to know when you threw away our marriage over a kidney I couldn't give, I said firmly. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to rest before my scan. I walked away, leaving him standing there. But this time, I was the one choosing to leave. The next week brought changes I never expected. Diana was the first to reach out. She sent me a letter, written in her neat but shaky handwriting. Dear Julia, I owe you an apology, not just for demanding your kidney, but for how I've treated you all these years. Learning about your cancer made me realize how selfish I've been. I found another possible donor, so please focus on your recovery. You don't need to carry any guilt or pressure from us. With regret, Diana. Emma later confirmed it. She actually cried, Julia, she said, shaking her head. I've never seen her cry before. Meanwhile, Marcus stopped sending angry texts about Diana's health. Instead, he sent one short message. I'm sorry, please let me make this right. I didn't reply. I had 3 more weeks of treatment left, and my health came first. But Marcus didn't give up. He started showing up at my treatment sessions, just sitting quietly in the waiting room. He never forced a conversation. He just waited, in case I wanted to talk. After my last treatment, he was there again. This time, I was too exhausted to ignore him. Why are you here, Marcus? He met my eyes. Because this is where I should have been all along. His voice was soft. I failed you, Julia. I failed our marriage. I was so focused on Mom that I didn't see you needed me too. I sighed and sat down beside him. It's not just about the cancer. It's about how you've always put Diana first. How I always felt like I had to handle everything alone. He nodded, his eyes full of regret. I know, Mom and I had a long talk after Emma told us everything. She admitted how she treated you, how she manipulated me. She's even getting counseling. Not that it excuses what I did. No, it doesn't. I'm not asking for forgiveness, he said quietly. I just want to be here for you now, in whatever way you'll let me. Even if it's just as a friend. I looked at him properly for the first time in months. He seemed different, quieter, more present than he had been in years. I have a scan next week, I said finally. They'll tell me if the treatment worked. He waited, saying nothing. You can come if you want, I said, but just to the waiting room. His smile was small but sincere. Thank you. That's more than I deserve. As I left the hospital that day, I felt lighter. Not because I'd forgiven Marcus, that would take time. Maybe it would never happen. But I had finally put myself first. The future was still uncertain. My marriage might be over, or it might heal. Diana might change, or she might not. The cancer might be gone, or it might return. But one thing was different now. I knew my worth. I wouldn't settle for less. Not from Marcus, not from Diana, not from anyone. Sometimes, losing everything is what it takes to truly find yourself. I stared at my phone screen, reading Daniel's message. I'm leaving you for Sophia. She's 23, beautiful, and everything you're not. Don't bother coming home. She's already moved in. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across my desk as I calmly reached for my coffee. At 35, I had just received the most heartless goodbye ever. But while Daniel probably pictured me crying over his betrayal, I was logging into my security app. The hidden cameras I'd installed 2 months ago came to life. There they were, Daniel and his new girlfriend, making themselves at home in my living room. She lounged in my favorite chair, legs draped over the side, while he packed away my photos. Your wife has great taste in furniture, Sophia giggled, running her fingers over the fabric. Too bad she has terrible taste in men. Daniel chuckled, tossing a photo frame into a box. She never appreciated any of this. Always too busy working, too tired for date nights. You're different, baby. I watched them, my anger cold and steady. The cameras had captured everything for weeks, every lie, every secret meeting. But today's footage, this was the final nail in his coffin. Another text buzzed through. I'll have my lawyer contact you. Don't expect anything in the divorce, my name's on everything. You should thank me for the years I gave you. I smiled, sipping my now cold coffee. Daniel always thought I was naive. He had no idea I'd been ahead of him all along. I had noticed the signs, the late nights, the password changes, the sudden interest in the gym. But it was the dinner receipt for two on a night he claimed to be working that pushed me to act. I hired a security company the next day. Make them invisible, I told them as they installed cameras throughout the house. I want to see everything. And I did. I watched him sneak her in, heard their whispered plans, saw them betray me over and over again. Then another message popped up. A picture of Sophia on our bed, wearing my jewelry. She looks better in these than you ever did, Daniel wrote. I forwarded it to my lawyer, adding it to the growing file of evidence. Then I turned back to the live feed. She's not even that pretty, Sophia scoffed, flipping through my old photos. Daniel snorted, holding up our wedding picture. I was young and stupid. Thought I needed to settle down. Biggest mistake of my life. He tossed it into the trash along with everything else from our 10 years together. But I didn't feel pain, just satisfaction. Every cruel word, every smug smile, all of it was recorded. Sophia stretched out on the couch. Should we order dinner? We should celebrate our first night in our new home. Our new home. I smiled at her choice of words. They had no idea how wrong they were. The house had been my grandmother's, left to me in a trust Daniel knew nothing about. His name on the deed meant nothing, and soon he would learn that the hard way. I typed a reply to his earlier message. Thanks for letting me know. I'll be sure to forward your text to my lawyer. His response was instant. What lawyer? Don't try to play games, Olivia. You'll lose everything. I didn't bother replying. Instead, I sent the latest footage to my attorney. This is perfect, she had told me weeks ago. He won't know what hit him. I grabbed my things and walked out of my office. The real fun was about to begin. As I drove away, my phone buzzed one last time. Don't bother coming home. I changed the locks. I laughed, picturing the hidden cameras still rolling. Let him think he'd won. Let him enjoy his moment. Soon, the truth would hit him like a ton of bricks, and I'd have a front row seat to watch it all unfold. The next morning, I watched through the security feed as Daniel strolled into the kitchen, making coffee in my favorite mug. He looked so at ease, so confident. I took a sip of my hotel coffee waiting. Right on time, the doorbell rang. I zoomed in on his face as he opened the door to a courier. Daniel Parker? The man asked, handing him a thick envelope. Daniel signed, still smug, until he read the first page. His expression shifted from confusion to shock. What is it, baby? Sophia called from the kitchen, still draped in my silk robe. It's from Olivia's lawyer, he mumbled, flipping through the pages. His face paled. This can't be right. Sophia peered over his shoulder. What's wrong? The house. It's not mine. It's in a trust, Olivia's trust. And she has evidence. Sophia stiffened. Evidence of what? Right then, my phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. What kind of game are you playing? I replied, no game. Check your email. Through the cameras, I watched his hands shake as he opened it. Sarah had sent a short clip, a preview of the footage we had collected. Is that us? Sophia gasped, staring at the screen. Have we been recorded? Daniel turned red with anger. You've been spying on me? In my own house? I couldn't help but smile as I texted back. Not your house, remember? And yes, every word, every lie, every betrayal, it's all on camera. He started pacing, raking his hands through his hair. Sophia, once so confident, slumped onto the couch. She can't do this, she whispered. It's illegal or something, right? Actually, I typed, it's perfectly legal to have security cameras in my home, especially when I had reason to suspect theft. Daniel read the message out loud. Theft. The jewelry you gave her. The artwork. My grandmother's antiques that mysteriously vanished. All recorded. Sophia yanked off my necklace, setting it on the table with shaking hands. Daniel turned to her, his voice cold. I think you should leave. But you said. Get out, he snapped. Tears streamed down her face as she grabbed her things and rushed out. The fearless mistress, suddenly just a scared girl. Daniel sank onto the couch, staring at his phone. Another message came through. You ruined everything. I loved you, Olivia. Why did you have to do this? My anger flared. Loved me? Is that what you call moving your girlfriend into our home? Giving her my things? Mocking our marriage? I saw him read my message, his jaw tightening. He was trapped and he knew it. What do you want? He finally texted. You out of my house tonight. Take only your things. My lawyer will handle the rest. He sat there for a long moment, then started packing, his movements stiff with frustration. Every few minutes he would stop, glance around the room, then keep going, shoulders slumped. A new text from Sarah. He called his lawyer. They're advising him to settle. The footage is too damaging. I smiled. Daniel had always thought I was weak, that I wouldn't fight back. Instead, I had collected every piece of evidence while he blindly walked into his own downfall. By evening, he took one last look around the house before leaving, his key resting on the counter, a silent admission of defeat. As his car disappeared, I sent one final message. Goodbye, Daniel. I hoped she was worth it. Then I blocked his number, closed the security app, and poured myself a glass of wine. Tomorrow, I take back my home. But tonight, I celebrated my freedom. Game over. And he never even knew he was playing. 1 month later, I sat in my freshly redecorated living room. Every trace of Daniel was gone, along with the weight of his betrayal. The divorce had gone quickly. Amazing how cooperative a cheating husband becomes when faced with video proof of his lies and stolen things. I kept the cameras running until everything was final, just in case. They caught Daniel sneaking back in one night, my lawyer handled it, and Sophia showing up a week later, demanding jewelry Daniel had given her. That footage also went straight to the authorities. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Daniel's company found out he was sleeping with an intern. Turns out you weren't the only one he lied to. He's been forced to resign. I smiled, not out of revenge, but because it felt right. The truth always catches up. That afternoon, the security company came to remove the cameras. As one of the workers uninstalled a hidden bookshelf camera, he said, "We set these up all the time, but most people don't actually catch anything important. You were smart. You saw the signs and acted." I thought back to those first red flags, the late nights, the secretive behavior, the strange receipts. How many people ignored those signs, hoping they were wrong? The doorbell rang. I glanced at my new standard security camera and saw Lisa standing there with a bottle of wine. "Coming," I called, letting her in. "This place looks amazing," she said, admiring the changes. Gone were the heavy curtains Daniel had insisted on. Sunlight streamed through the sheer panels, shining on artwork I had picked myself. My grandmother's antiques, which I hidden away when I first suspected Daniel's plans, were finally back where they belonged. As we sat on the couch with our wine, Lisa asked, "How are you really?" I thought for a moment before answering. Honestly, better than I've been in years. No more pretending. No more ignoring the obvious or making excuses for someone else's actions. "Heard anything from Sophia?" I shook my head. "After the jewelry thing, nothing. She's probably found another married man to go after." Just then, another text from Sarah came through. "Final paperwork is signed. The house is officially yours. Congrats. You're free." Free, a simple word, but it carried so much weight. "You know what's funny?" I said, swirling my wine. "Daniel always treated me like I was clueless, like I couldn't see what was happening. But I saw everything. I was just waiting for the right time to act." Lisa raised her glass. "To seeing clearly." "To seeing clearly," I echoed, clinking my glass against hers. That night, after Lisa left, I walked through my house, truly mine now. The cameras had recorded Daniel's betrayal, but they had also captured something else, my strength. I opened my laptop to save the final footage before deleting it, not to relive the pain, but to remember how far I had come. The last clip showed Daniel leaving, his shoulders slumped, his arrogance finally gone. He thought he was writing the end of our story. He didn't realize he was just setting the stage for my new beginning. Then, one final text, an unknown number. "I'm sorry. I know it doesn't matter now, but I'm sorry for everything." I didn't answer. Some messages don't deserve replies. Some apologies come too late to mean anything. Instead, I stepped onto my balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky in golds and pinks. The cameras were gone, their job done. They had shown me the truth, and they had helped me move forward. The evening air carried the scent of the flowers I had planted, new life growing where the past had once been. Just like me. Tomorrow would bring new adventures, new possibilities. But tonight, I celebrated my freedom.